Long ago, when gaming was still young, one company stood above the rest, until one fateful day when a small company would step forth to oppose them. Brandishing a speedy blue hedgehog with attitude, the small company would deal a devastating blow, sending ripples throughout the industry for decades to come. And thus, the console wars began. The battle was fierce and lasted for generations. But like with all things, the world took its toll, and time marched ever forward. And in this aging company's hands, the once great weapon turned to rot. Until centuries later, when a young group of dedicated fans would rise up and reforge the legend into a brand new game. Freedom Planet. And seeing its success, Sega loudly proclaimed, "Hold my beer," and would ultimately just go on to hire their own batch of dedicated fans to make a new Sonic game for them. And the funny thing is, though, it worked. That's right, made by the fans, for the fans, with Sega's blessing of course. Sonic Mania Plus is the expanded version of the original digital-only Sonic Mania, a game that is an absolute love letter to everything that is Sonic the Hedgehog, managing to capture every element that made the franchise as beloved as it is today, while still managing to feel fresh, and not just coasting off nostalgia like some lesser games do for a quick cash grab. Really, with so much classic Sonic goodness crammed into every inch of this game, there's really only one question worth asking. Is it better than the original games that inspired it? Well, right off the bat, I'll tell you this. Before even popping this one in, they definitely got the casing right. Doubly right, in fact. Just look at this shine. Sparkly. And hidden behind it, retro goodness. I'm actually using the reversible cover, so the default version is also here if you're interested. Now, having slept on the original launch, because I was kinda stuck on the fence about getting this, which never really happened because of reasons. But as a collector nerd, waiting still paid off because my hope was that there was going to be a physical release. And I'm glad to see that the creators got that. And this art book that comes with it is pretty sweet too, with my only complaint being the lack of a physical soundtrack, like they got in Japan. Really, Sega? It's like, come on. The tunes in Sonic Mania are amazing and are one of the biggest draws of this game for me. I'd wager that most of you have at least seen one of the two promo trailers, and while I absolutely adore the classic Sonic CD animation style, it's that tune, Friends, that I just can't get out of my head. I love it. I just wish that at least one of the game's levels had it, as sadly they kinda just do that thing movies do and hold it off until the credits. Or, well, if you just want to watch the intro again, then there's that too. Because really, all of the tracks in this game are just as great as they are nostalgic, with the return of classics like Chemical Plant Zone, Lava Reef Zone, and of course, for its millionth time, Green Hill Zone. And FYI, not complaining here, love me some Green Hill Zone. But it's not all reworked classics either. The new songs also carry their weight, all while staying true to that classic Genesis style, but while having the quality expected of today's modern tech. Unlike the tech of a certain mustached mad scientist we all know and love. Huh. You know, I was actually talking about the egg-shaped one, though that final stage does make me think that some Megaman fans might have worked on this one too. But the analogy still fits in that the tech's not wasted, or I guess technically doesn't get wasted. And by that, I mean that despite holding true to the classic looks of the original games, pulling aspects from more than one, Mania Plus looks crisp and clean, and really just cool all around. And again, I gotta mention that animation. You know it's good when they go out of their way to make a few episodic shorts outside of the game just because awesomeness. I recommend checking them out. They're posted up on YouTube and they are hilarious. But getting back to the game itself, it's the levels and how the characters almost flow through them as they blast through loops and obstacles that creates the real spectacle worthy of awe. And whether you're moving slow, taking in a lot of the fun and clever details, or just blazing through at top speeds, it's hard to ignore the scope of just how big these stages really are, and just how many different paths there are to reach the end. Honestly, it's almost staggering, but it's also a testament to great level design. All of that while reimagining a plethora of classics and just nailing how they feel without simply pulling a copy pasta. My personal favorite is the chemical plant zone, with how this time around you actually get to interact with the chemicals to neutralize the threats and create bounce pads. Hooray for real stage relevance, am I right? But here's where we need to bring up some of the plus content. So, the team at Sega clearly wanted to stick it to the Freedom Planet crew, releasing their DLC, which actually included 2 new playable characters, Mighty and Ray, as well as upgrading the Versus mode, where you can race each other from 2 players to 4. And best of all, a brand newish playable mode, Encore mode, which really does live up to its namesake, being pretty much just more of the same. Encore mode pretty much just takes already existing levels and remixes them a bit, which, when you think about it, is pretty much just what they did with the reimagined classic levels in the first place. So, not sure how I feel about that. Though of course, they also made sure to make the stages, both new and old, play well with the new characters too. But there's more to the Encore mode than just that, and we'll get into that part in a bit. But as for now, my only real complaint about the Plus DLC is that it doesn't contain any completely new levels. And since the Encore mode starts with a fraction of the Mushroom Hill Zone from Sonic and Knuckles, it's a freaking tease. Plus, having already gone through all of these levels as Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails already, multiple times even, to score all the Chaos Emeralds, repeating them all again, just with 2 new characters, might get a bit tiring, especially if you're starting with Plus. But if you haven't played since Sonic Mania's launch, then it might be refreshing. I can't really be sure, but it is worth mentioning. Though it's still pretty tough not to deny the worthiness of a replay. And man, what an understatement that is. Sonic Mania Plus truly brings out the best the franchise has to offer, meaning high speeds, hidden paths, fun bosses, mini games, well-timed platforming, and of course, more rings than you'll see in a jewelry store ad in February. So, if you're a newcomer who's never played a 2D Sonic game before, welcome! You must have been born during the 3D Renaissance. Otherwise, where have you been hiding all this time? But to get you up to speed, Sonic, in his classic form, offers up a 2D platforming experience that is actually pretty unique unto itself. And while it does have the standard jumping over pits and on enemies while trying to reach the end of the stage, a lot of the focus actually ends up being on getting through the stages at high speeds, twitch reactions to get the well-hidden paths and items, and really just trying to see if you can get through the stage without losing all of your rings, which acts as Sonic's health. And let me tell you, it's actually pretty easy to lose them too, no matter how many you have. Take a single hit, and they're gone. Though you can grab some before they vanish, leaving you defenseless, which is pretty much every single boss fight for me. Hit, get hit, and then chase after that solitary ring before the invincibility frames wear off and the panic sets in as having to try and win without getting touched. It's fun! No, but really it is, and Sonic Mania offers a fair but solid challenge. But what I want to bring attention to is something that I don't think gets talked about enough. The fact that Sonic Mania captures that classic feeling perfectly. And I do mean perfectly. It really does feel right. From the response of the controls to the weight of the characters, and even to the different abilities that each character employs. Even the new ones who I've never controlled before. They just feel right. Now contrast that to another popular Sonic game, Sonic Generations, where they try to emulate classic Sonic. Oh, and fun fact, the classic Sonic from that game is the classic Sonic from Mania, who would end up in Sonic OC Generator the game, thanks to the shenanigans involving a MacGuffin in this game. Honestly, it's not really that important though, but what is important is that the 2D mode in Sonic Generations just felt off. Even the 2D copy of the first Sonic game didn't quite feel right in that engine. Honestly, it's hard to explain without experiencing it yourself, and it's even harder to show. But go a few rounds with the original Mario Brothers, and then a few rounds with Mario 3 or Mario World, and I think you'll understand. Though it's reversed for those games, with Mario 1 feeling off because the other two are better and ultimately became the norm. But I digress. That solid feeling also translates into the characters of Mania as well, with each one feeling like their classic selves, despite some minor changes. Sonic is still the only character who can fully use the different shields for varied jumps. But this time around, he's also got the ability Drop Dash, which basically lets him charge a spin dash mid-air for a boost when he lands, which is pretty cool. Tails can still fly for a short time, and Knuckles can still glide and climb walls. Great for exploring and trying to get around traps and reach different paths. And then of course we've got our newcomers, Mighty and Ray. Mighty has a slam attack that smashes straight downward with the ability to crash through certain tiles and enemies. And on top of that, his shell can prevent some hits from enemies and spikes. Ray, on the other hand, is kind of like a cross between Knux and Tails, where he can fly continuously by cycling gliding. So basically the cape from Mario World. Though I can never find a great time to abuse this ability to cheese a level like I can in Mario. Because walls. Walls everywhere. And while these new additions certainly do add to the game, I feel that it's the absolutely brilliant and clever uses of all the franchise's small gimmicks that really make Sonic Mania shine. Let's look at a few examples, like the flying battery zone. This launching yourself from giant fan to giant fan mechanic is a pretty cool gimmick for that stage. But instead of just being a small fragment of a much larger level, it comes back at the end of the stage and is worked into the boss fight to create a pretty unique battle for the franchise. Still need more? How about this being washed away mechanic? It got what, 30 seconds of use in Sonic 3? But not here. Again, incorporated into a boss fight. Way to keep it fresh. And what really brought a smile to my face was when I was playing and I thought to myself, man, I kinda wish they had brought back all those odd little bonus stages from Sonic 3 instead of overhauling just one. Only to gleefully discover that instead of 30-second minigames, they made an entire level utilizing those mechanics. Glorious. Way to go above and beyond. And that's not to say that the bonus stages we ended up with are bad either. Far from it. They're wonderful and hard to boot. The old ones were a cakewalk, just spam that old mushroom forest a few times and BAM! The Super Emeralds were yours. But not here. They really push what this minigame can do with varied patterns, puzzles, and gimmicks, and actually using the increasing speed to mess with your timing. Oh yes, there is a special place in Sonic OC fanfic hell just for you lot. And yes, safe search will be off. Rounding this all out are concepts like actually getting to turn the tables on old Robotnik for a change, the cameos from lesser known Sonic games like the Bubble from Triple Trouble, and just straight up getting to play Mean Bean Machine. And really, there's so much more than that aside from not having enough time to mention it all, I probably missed a bunch myself. But I still need to talk about one more thing, the Encore mode. Now, I already mentioned that the Encore mode is basically just the same as the main game, just with remixed Mania levels. So, remixes of remixes. Except this time around, all 5 characters are available, essentially letting you swap between them mid-level when hitting special boxes, or when you die with a character, essentially losing them, thus making them double as the live system, adding a bit more consequence to dying. Plus, this mode also lets other characters, Sonic, experience the second player slot, and the horrors of perpetually dying forever. which just makes it a real disappointment that the Encore mode isn't co-op, like in the main game when you have a pairing. A real missed opportunity, honestly, and one of the very few, I have to say. To be honest, it's actually pretty hard to really find anything that this game does poorly. The graphics are nostalgic, but they look great and aren't handicapped by the style. Instead, they improve upon them, and the same goes for the sound. But more than anything, it's the gameplay that just hits it out of the park, nailing everything that made the classics stand the test of time, while expanding on what was probably just brushed off as gimmick mechanics. Really, if I had to try and find any faults at all, and I'm really stretching here, it's that the DLC should have added a few new stages, or at the very least not taunted us with one. Also, maybe they could have added online co-op or at least online for versus mode, and they definitely should have had a co-op mode for Encore. Plus, I, like many others, were left asking, where's Amy? But realistically speaking, they're probably just saving her for Mania 2, which, come on, it's Sega we're talking about here. You know it's coming. This is their cash cow after all. My only hope is that they don't try to milk it too much. Let's keep this amazing return to form something special that we can look forward to every couple of years and avoid that Madden syndrome. But that being said, I am looking forward to Mania 2, because Sonic Mania Plus is, to answer my question from the beginning, the best Sonic game out there. Even with all my nostalgia, all of my fond memories of the classics, I can't deny that this love letter to Sonic, made by the fans no less, deserves the top slot. The student becomes a teacher. And I think it goes without saying that I highly recommend Mania to anyone and everyone who just enjoys fun games, solid platformers, and really any gamer who doesn't have some kind of weird grudge against Sonic. And for all of you Sonic fans, well, let's be real here, you've already got it. And since you do, what do you think? Tell me in the comments below, is Mania the best Sonic game, or are the classics still king? Or has Freedom Planet stolen your heart? Wait, what's that you say at your computer that I can magically hear thanks to my reviewer powers? You don't actually know what Freedom Planet is? Well, don't worry, I've got you covered. Check out my review of that one by clicking on the box featuring the other Sonic OC of me. And while you're at it, be sure to hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all my future reviews. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.